Buenos dias, guys. Welcome back to another video. ¿Cómo estás, pendejos? Hey, the world champion Joshua Schmidt uploaded his best decks in the Master Duel. So he ranked the best decks in Master Duel, and after reacting on him calling Blackwing cringe, I'm really curious, where does he rank Blackwings? Okay, where does he rank Blackwings? So I'm excited. Let's watch this video and let's see, man. Let's see what we got over here, man.
We've talked about in a recent
Okay,
video.
so we are using here the
For
we're using the list. We're ranking here the list with the new ban list. Okay, so that's good.
The new ban list that we've talked about in a recent video already is in effect, right? When the new ban list drops in a week, we will be playing with a whole new format, you know, no Merly. How is that going to affect tier elements? Some other interesting hits on the ban list. And I'm here to talk about what I think about all kinds of different decks. So first, grass decks in general have taken a significant hit because there's only one grass. And honestly, in my opinion, playing a 60 card deck with one grass is not worth it. It was already kind of iffy, you know, like 60 card decks have already been more on the just for fun side before this ban list, but now with 60 cards and one grass, you're just not gonna see it. I'll put them into tier 3, maybe very low tier 2.
Okay, let's start with this one. So, Call by the Grass, before the Castillo cards got to the game, was insane. Now, this card got limited. And second, Shifter is gonna be seen more often than ever before. And obviously, Castillo isn't even full power yet. So once Castillo comes to full power, it's gonna be even more stupid. So I don't believe that the Grass's Kirina is like it's not going to be as strong as it used to be.
I'm sorry to disappoint all of you.
So I wouldn't say like I would put forget about it. Okay, let's talk about Sky Striker. Sky Striker tier 3.
Striker is, I think, a high tier 3 strategy, not really much more than that. I personally just think Sky Striker cards are a little bit too fair. The only thing that speaks for Sky Striker in this current Master Duel environment is that it's one of those decks that's kind of immune to Max C, right? Rika Sun Avalon, I think, is like a tier...
Okay, so putting Sky Striker tier 3 is respectfully, but to be honest, man, in this new format where Kashtira and Tier are going to dominate again, I don't believe that Sky Striker is going to do anything, to be honest, man. Sky Striker is only good if you're playing not against Elements or Kashtira. Against any other deck, it might be good. But against those two decks, I don't believe that Kashtira is going to do, that Sky Striker is going to do anything. So maybe I would respectfully put it to the L ratio. But yeah, it's hard. But like you said, it plays really well under Maxi.
2-ish strategy. The deck is really powerful, and it's also really powerful in the current TCG format. The difference is that in the current TCG format, there is no Maxi, and in Master Duel, there is. I think that alone will throw Rika from a top tier contender to a mid deck. So Rika is like, I think, like the bottom end of tier 2. You can play Rika if you really want to. I just don't really see a reason to. There's like better combo heavy mid-range decks that will have a better plan against Maxi, other than you just have to draw called by or you're screwed if they have Maxi, you know.
I respect that.
Without Block Dragon is L plus ratio plus Maxi. Don't play this deck. Tier Elements is like...
Yeah, that's true. Without Block Dragon, that deck doesn't even make sense anymore, to be honest.
The big question on everyone's mind, right? What's happening to Tier Element with this new ban list? Because the Merly ban is something that we really have no precedence for. In both TCG and OCG, the way they handled it was ban Kitkalos. We still have Kitkalos, which is one of the hands down best fusion monsters ever printed. So I don't think the deck is dead by any means. Before the ban list, I was just going to throw it into tier 0. Now I think it's going to find a home somewhere in tier 1 or maybe top of tier 2. I think it takes a little bit of experimentation for people to...
Yeah, he might be right. It might take some experimentation, but once people get to know how to play with that deck, it might be tier 0 again. It depends on whenever the new Kashtira support comes. Because without Rysart and Shifter on 2, it might still be at tier 1.
Figure out how to use...
Well, it could potentially be T0 still. Like, hitting Merly is obviously great, but like he said, Kid Colors is the main thing that builds all around. So
it now because the deck is quite different and you're gonna have to rethink it a little bit. But I think if people find a solid list for it and a solid way to still play out the turns with just 2 fusion monsters, I think it can still be a tier 1 deck, simply because Kid Close is so strong, and the deck is also nice against Max Seed, because whenever you activate a tier element effect, you get Max Seed and you only give your opponent 1 draw and just go to add a trap card and pass the turn. I think that's very nice. Also, keep in mind that there's a lot of tools for tier elements in Master Duel that people can explore right now. Like, we still have Chaos Ruler, which is pretty much keeping tier elements alive single-handedly in the OCG. Potential
that's a big fact.
Versions like Punk tier elements that can make Chaos Ruler to get the engine going and end on some extra disruptions from synchros. I think there is potential in tier. I just don't know how exactly you're going to do it. Drytron is L plus ratio plus Maxi. Branded now...
I mean, yeah, that's true. It's only good in those events, in the special events, festivals that we have sometimes, but it's true.
Now only has 1 branded fusion, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I was already not happy with the consistency of the branded deck beforehand. That was the reason why we did not...
Yeah, brand fusion at 1, like, why would you do that? Why? No one was playing. I mean, I kinda understand. They didn't hit just branded itself. They wanted to hit also tier elements at the same time, but because some people, a lot of people have been playing the elements of brand fusion, so I can't understand it. But why would you hit branded that bad, bro? Like, poor branded players, bro. So poor.
Not bring it to Master Duel Worlds. I think the deck is playable.
It's not like everyone is playing Ash anyway, main deck. So damn, bro. Like, brand fusion at 1 really even hurts me, and I don't even play that card.
For sure, I'm gonna give it a high tier 2. I'm not a huge fan of...
What? Why? No. Just no. No. Branded is not tier 2, bro. No. It was maybe tier 2 before Branded Fusion got hit to 1, but no.
Fan of branded, but I don't think it's dead.
Respectfully, tier 3. And I actually like Branded.
I think you can still play it. It's just gonna break a decent amount of its games, which I don't think is a great feeling, but you can play it, because if you do find that branded fusion and your opponent does not have that Ash Blossom, the deck is pretty good, as always. Now to...
It's okay. It's not pretty good. It's okay.
An interesting one, which is branded tier elements. I think these 2 decks in combination could be nice, although
it is nice. It is nice. For some reason, man, tier element players always got that luck. They always got that luck.
You know, 1 branded fusion also hurts the hybrid version quite a lot. You can just play fusion deployment to get to your Rhino Heart consistently. You can branded fuse to send tier element names if you don't find another way to start the game off. I think this deck has some solid potential. More than the sum of its parts, basically. Tier elements itself might not be that great anymore, even though it's probably still good. Branded is not that great anymore, even though it's still good. Maybe the sum of its part can even be better than the individual decks. Draco Slayer Pendulum is a deck that finally got its new support card. The deck has been, I don't want to say good in the TCG, but the deck has been like respectable in the TCG for a short while after the Draco Slayer cards came out. In Master Duel, we even have Electromite, so I think the deck is at least somewhat something worth looking at. I think it's alright, and it does have...
What? No.
Some very solid 1 or 2 card combos. It does struggle a little bit with Max C, and it also does struggle with Kashtira locking your pendulum scales, which could happen now that Shangri-Ira is in the game and we're expecting more Kashtira support.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't believe it. I wouldn't put this deck at the same position as Rika, to be honest, man. I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. But yeah.
Soon. Dragon Link is one of the big winners of this ban list. It didn't get really any hits on this current iteration of the ban list, and it was already a strong deck beforehand. I don't think it's like tier 0 material though, but it's definitely somewhere in tier 1. The reason why it's not tier 0 is because I'm not sure yet how many are going to be playing tier limits after the ban. Let's say someone discovers a great version for tier limits and tier limits ends up being one of the most played decks. Then Dragon Link, I think, could be considered one of the best decks to even play in general, because honestly, against the tier limit version that only has 2 fusion effects per turn, if you play a Bestial deck, you're gonna have a field day. It's gonna be such a good matchup for you. But because there's no guarantee so many people are gonna be playing tier limits, I'm just gonna leave Dragon Link in tier 1 because it is certainly very playable. It is a very good deck, but if people end up...
Yeah, we can call it tier 1. We can respectfully call it tier 1. It might change though once Rise comes.
Playing other decks rather than tier and branded, then the deck doesn't have the greatest time. For example, today I played a lot of ranked and I played against a lot of Kashtira. I don't even think the deck is that great yet before a Rysart, but like a lot of people played Kashtira, and against Kashtira it just feels awful drawing Bestial. So there's that. You guys have probably seen that I have had a lot of fun playing Dark World in a couple streams a couple weeks ago. The deck is extremely fun, at least if you're the one playing it. And it actually has a decent win rate against Max C because you can deck your opponent out under Max C. So that's cool. That's a plus. That's a genuine possibility when you play Dark World. I'm going to put Dark World somewhere in tier 2, probably around here. I think the deck is...
No, sir. As much as I like Dark World, in Master, it's not. It's really not, bro. First of all, Sediments dominates Dark World all the time. Second of all, Kashtira, like, this is a thing, man. The more we're gonna see, and I'm seeing a lot of times shift the past couple of weeks. So those kind of decks are really... they're gonna be hurt so bad by those decks. So I can't see this deck at tier 2. Like, I would put it at 3, respectfully. And it's also a lot of luck based, and it cannot play that many hand traps, ball breakers, whatever. Like, it's tough. It's really tough. But yeah, I don't know. I think 2 is too high.
viable, very underrepresented.
Like, would you really put Dark World next to Rika and Branded? Really?
Like, people are just not really playing the deck as much, but I think it's solid. I want to say that this will change once we get Kashtira or Rysart. I don't know exactly when that happens, but as soon as we get Kashtira or Rysart and Kashtira becomes one of the most played decks in Master Duel, which it will, I think Dark World will fall off heavily. Exo Sister is a deck...
Okay, alright.
Deck that I have not been super fond of in the past. You guys know I'm not the biggest Exo Sister fan, but after we brought it to Worlds and it's been performing quite well, I've kind of been respecting the deck a little bit more. I think it's a solid deck. It's not super phenomenal. Like, I don't think it has tier 1 potential. I just don't think the cards are good enough for that. It's got a decent amount of room for non-engine. It's not great against Maxi, but it's also not terrible against Maxi. You know, you can end on 1 or 2 traps with like 1 or 2 special summons. Well, 2 special summons usually. I think it's fine. I think it goes here. Fluanda Reese takes
tier 2. Exorcist is 2. I guess so. Yeah, why not? It can play pretty well on the shifter. Yeah, why not?
Another consistency hit with Extravagance to 2, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I do not understand how anyone queues into Master Duel ranked with a Fluanda Reese deck that has 2 duality, 2 extravagance, 1 prosperity, 1 field spell, no terraforming. I personally think it's a tier 3 deck.
They did the Fluanda Reese so bad, bro. And it's funny because if this deck plays against Blackwings, it, like, those hits doesn't matter. Those hits really does not matter, man. And it's... oh man, this is so unfortunate for those. The poor Fluanda Reese. Now it's tier 3.
As soon as we get freaking a Rysart and Kashtira, you're not even gonna have much benefit from Dimension Shifter in that matchup. I just don't like Fluanda Reese. Labyrinth is a very strong deck and is expecting even more support in the future. Not in the near future. In the TCG right now, we're expecting Labyrinth support in the next set, which means in Master Duel it's gonna be quite a while until we get it. But for now, I think Labyrinth is just very solid. I don't think it has many matchups that it completely dominates, even though you can build it in a way how it can beat Kashtira fairly consistently once that comes around. But the deck is just solid, right? The deck also just got Chaos Angel, which is a phenomenal card in Labyrinth. The deck only lost one Extravagance on the ban list, and the deck is also very good against Max.
Chaos Angel pushed the elements, Labyrinth so good. Like, it made the deck so much better. So, yeah, we can put it at tier 1. Yeah, why not? But, yeah, it's hard, man. It's really hard.
Because you only give them 1 or 2 draws usually. This deck is definitely a very, very good option. I guess Marincess and Mathmech, as they are kind of the same principle of decks, they are just a bunch of cybers, combos, and hand traps. I don't think that's the greatest concept right now. I think Marincess is about a tier 3 deck. It's playable. It just is very fair. It's very weak to Maxi for not much payoff. You know what I mean? Mathmech, as much as I hate it, I think is slightly better than Marincess, and it's going to be in tier 2 simply because it still has all 3 circulars.
Mathmech at 2. Circulars 3. Why not?
Mathmech also very weak to Maxi. It does suffer from Bystials a lot, but I'm... Yeah.
We're seeing... Yo, first of all, Bystials are being played so heavily. So, I'm not sure if Mathmech... Because I remember, bro, in the tier format back in the day, like almost a year ago, no one was playing Mathmech. Even though Circle was a 3. Why? Simply because of Bystials. And this is the only reason. One Magnamut completely wins against this deck. Completely. So I don't believe that Mathmech should be tier 2. If you put Sky Strike at tier 3, then you have to put Mathmech also at tier 3.
Kind of predicting Bystial usage to go back a little bit because I think tier limit usage is going to go back a little bit. On the other hand, as soon as we get a Rysart, Mathmech also can't deal with that. So as soon as we get a Rysart, the deck probably demotes to rank 3 or something. One of the biggest winners of this current ban list is Naturia Runic, a deck that has been criminally underrated, I think, in the last couple of months in Master Duel. A deck that is actually just completely phenomenal. I've been very happy with its performance at Worlds. The deck is hard to pilot, I think, so it'll take some time to get used to, just like how any Runic mid-range combo deck is hard to pilot. I personally think Naturia Runic is either just the best deck in Master Duel or very high tier 1. I'm not going to put it into tier 0, I think, because honestly, I just kind of want to leave the tier 0 slot open for now. Actually, no. Until we get a Rysart, this deck is just phenomenal. After we get a Rysart, the deck is going to probably be around here. Also, it just has very good matchups across the board. If you look at these other top decks, right, the deck is very good against Dragon Link because it doesn't have any targets for the Bystial monsters, right? So it's as good as it gets of a matchup. The deck is really good against...
That makes sense. That makes sense. But don't put it at tier 0, bro. Don't do that.
Labyrinth, because you can chain block the Lady Labyrinth from getting Eradicator, so they need to hard draw Eradicator, which sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't. And the tier limit matchup also got a lot better, and the deck is also phenomenal against Maxi. Like, you will give them 0 or 1 draws off of Maxi and still end on a very respectable board. Runic Stun is not great. I'm not a big fan of Runic Stun. Let's have a talk about Sprite. I have a couple of Sprite decks prepared that I want to talk about because the time to play pure Sprite / Melfi Sprite, honestly, is probably over. I was just going to put it into tier 3, but then I realized I don't think it's worse than these decks here. So like, it's probably here in terms of its power level. But I really would not recommend you to play pure Sprite, simply because pure Sprite is a deck that heavily relies on opening Blue Jet or Starter. Without drawing Blue Jet or Starter, you are just way too vulnerable to any sort of hand trap or any sort of interruption when you go second. You have incredible combos with 1 Nimble Beaver or 1 Deep Sea Diva or whatever, but the problem is pushing that 1 card through is really, really hard without Blue Jet Starter. Those cards are now severely hit on the ban list. You only have 2 blue, 1 jet, 2 starter, which means that you don't draw them very often. You still draw them a decent amount, but not very often, and all the hands that don't have those cards just feel so vulnerable. The Frog Engine was also a hit. That's more like a drive-by hit because it's not the biggest deal, but still it's something. And the deck also just suffers a lot from Maxi if you don't have Called by Ash or a Crossout. So I'm just not a big fan of Melfi Sprite, mainly because there are very good alternatives, right? Like Runic Sprite is still a very strong deck in Master Duel because Runic Sprite does not need to draw the Sprite cards. Like you can just draw Hyperia and make Hugin and then make Gigantic and be happy about it. And that is phenomenal. I think Runic Sprite is a very, very good deck, probably around here. Runic Per Higher Sprite is another version that is almost...
Man is pushing Runic so high, bro. That is insane. That is so insane. I don't know how to feel about that.
equally the same power level, I would say. I've been getting a...
Telling me that almost every deck is tier 1 when you mix it with Runic.
A lot of questions about Life Twin Sprite. I would not recommend you to play Life Twin Sprite without Runic cards. The Life Twin Sprite deck really needs to draw a Runic plus a Sprite. And with only 2 blue, 1 jet, 2 starter, you're just not going to draw the Sprite portion of your deck consistently enough. Runic Life Twin Sprite, though, is still a strong deck. I think it's weaker than the other decks because it's...
Honestly, I'll share that opinion too. I believe that Runic Twin Sprite is like the least strongest one.
Just a little bit fairer than what these two decks do. While we still have Runic Sprite with Elf, I don't really see a reason to play this deck, but you can. It's still fine. Tri-Brigade Sprite is a deck that I'm also going to throw into tier 2 simply because I don't have enough experience with it myself. I don't feel comfortable saying, yeah, this deck is great or this deck is bad.
It doesn't even make sense what you're saying, man. The fuck? You got no experience with it, but just throw it at tier 2? I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say, in my opinion, I believe the Evil Twin Runic Sprite one is superior than the Tri-Brigade Sprite one. So I would definitely put the Tri-Brigade under the Evil Twins. It's not tier 2, bro. It's not tier 2.
Bad. I think Tri-Brigade Sprite is better than Pure Sprite now because you have other combo starters, other ways to get into your combo. I think that deck is solid. It has potential. If you want to play a Sprite version that does not have Runics, I would recommend starting with this one and trying it out. Sword Soul is middle of the pack tier 2-ish. You'll notice there's a lot of tier 2 in Master Duel right now. Like the best of 1 format just like doesn't allow for any deck right now to really completely shine. There's a lot of decks that also have the Max C issue where like if your opponent doesn't have Max C, which is the majority of games, right? Most of the time your opponent doesn't have Max C. And then decks like Pure Sprite, Sword Soul, and so on, Rika are all really, really good. But the 30-something% of games that they do have Max C, it's going to be a problem, right? Trap Tricks, I think, is also in tier 2. But there's not too much to say about Trap Tricks. The deck is fine. I just think if you're a Trap deck enjoyer, you should be playing Labyrinth. That's why I'm putting it into tier 2 and not higher.
Landering Trap Tricks just like that? Telling that Trap Tricks players should be playing Labyrinth? Really? Really? Is this what we're doing right now?
Pure Punk is, in my book, almost the exact same deck as Sword Soul. These two decks are very, very similar, where like if they go first and they don't get Max Seed, they can do very strong stuff, but they also have nice...
Hold up, man. I believe that Maxi is... I mean, obviously... Yeah... Hold up, man. Hold up. If you get Max Seed with Sword Soul, you can still special summon like... I don't know, like 2 Synchro Monsters? Maybe? And have the Revolt set? And most times, Soto players also have Maxi on their hand. So I believe, I wouldn't say that Punk and Sword Soul is the same. It's not the same. Like, Punk is a combo deck, bro. Punk is a combo deck. Sword Soul obvious is also like a little combo-ish, but not as much as Punk, I believe.
Synergy with like playing hand traps, playing non-engine, which is like one advantage for decks like Sword Soul and Punk and Sprite over decks like the more all-in decks like Drytron at Emancipator. All those decks lose to Max C, but those decks up here at least have decent room for non-engine and can sometimes, you know, if I get Max Seed, I can pass and maybe throw 2 hand traps at my opponent and be fine. That's something that decks like Drytron and Emancipator usually can't do because they simply don't play enough hand traps. Cash Tira in Master Duel is very, very weird because When I logged into Master Duel this day, I did not expect to see many Cash Tiras because the deck does not have a lot of its very, very good cards yet. Of course, Fenrir and Unicorn are very, very strong cards, but everything else is not there yet. You know, there's no Arisard, no Theosis, no Big Bang even, no Field Spell. Like, there's just so much missing for Cash Tira. But yet, I queue into Ranked. Literally, the first 5 games we played today were all against Cash Tira. And it's
Hold up,
probably
man.
because people are just want to try out the deck and...
Hold up, man. Where are my black wings, man? Hold up. Somebody come look at this. I checked the comments if anyone was wondering where are my black wings. So my boy Kevin said, loving your content. I'm returning to Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing. I'm a returning Yu-Gi-Oh! Player trying out Master Duel for the first time. I wanted to ask you if you think black wings are still playable. They were my favorite deck back in the day. And Joshua Schmidt replies with, they're semi-playable. Semi-playable? But they are very different from back in the day now. It's a combo deck now. First of all, my man, it doesn't have to be a combo deck. It can be a combo deck if you want to secure the win for sure. But if we get Max C, I can still give you like a beautiful board. I can still give you like a small little board with under like 3 special summons and pass my turn. And I prove that. Like that's the one thing, okay? And second thing, semi-playable. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, yeah, someone says, I don't know about Master Duel, but in TCG, they are a decent combo deck. If the cards aren't already Master Duel, they will probably come soon. Okay. See, my boy said it's already good in T. Man, fuck this, bro. Why am I even watching this list, man? Hey, man. I don't get it, man. Like, I really don't get it. You got Dark World at tier 2. You got Branded at tier 2. Yo, like all those decks that you got in tier 2, we are completely dominating with Black Wings. 100%. 100%. Out of 10 times playing against those decks, you should win with Black Wings at least 7 out of 10 times. If not 6. And that already proves that it's superior than all your tier 2 decks over there. At least. Alright, I'm not gonna say put it at tier 1. Even though I would put it over there. If you put like decks, like all those runic decks, whatever it is, a tier 1, then I would say put it also over there. But god damn, man. Yo, this is, ah, man. Fuck. This is so hard. So hard to react on this video, man. Put some respect on my birds.
They are just on a lot of copium, and I think that's what it is. I think Cash Tira in its current iteration in Master Duel is like maybe a tier 3 deck, maybe somewhere in tier 2. Like the deck is not very good. It's not complete ass because the Cash Tira cards that are already out are already good cards, but I honestly don't love the deck. I think somewhere in tier 2 is probably a fair assessment. Honestly, because we are not going to put anything into tier 0 anyways, I think it's fair to give a couple decks the tier 1.5 treatment, just so it looks more organized. No tier 0, but like roughly this. I think it makes more sense. Yeah, Cash Tira, honestly, not that great yet. You can play it. It's not a bad investment per se. Just in case any of you are just watching this and you are only playing Master Duel and not TCG, if you are not aware, Cash Tira, once it gets the next wave of support, will be a tier 0 deck. And it would completely change which of these other...
That's true. That's 100% true. Why is that true? First of all, Kashtira can play really well under under Maxi, 100%. That's one thing. Second is that yeah, Kashtira is gonna be a pain in the ass. For sure.
decks would be good. The Naturia Runic deck would be okay still, but like Dragon Link would suffer a lot from Kashtira
Yeah, we're not gonna see a lot of Dragon Links once Kashtira comes out.
being around. Tearlaments would suffer a lot from Kashtira being around. So those decks would probably be like demon.
And you know what deck is gonna be good? You know what deck is gonna be insane? Once a Rise set comes and all those decks suffer from Shifter and Macros Cosmos. It's gonna be Blackness, my man. It's gonna be you you better get prepared, man. You better get prepared because Full Armor Master is going to dominate Kashtira, man. I'm telling you.
Promoted an entire rank or something if the Arise Heart was already there. So keep that in mind. Only because I'm putting Kashtira into tier 2 right now and telling you it's not that great does not mean that the Kashtira cards that you already opened from your packs is something you should like get rid of and get the crafting points. You should keep the Kashtira cards, okay? Keep the Kashtira cards. They're gonna shake up the meta very, very soon, just not right now. As of now, as of the recording of this video, the Kashtira support, the second wave of support is not in Master Duel yet, and we don't know exactly when it's gonna happen, but it's probably soon. I want to just emphasize this. All of the decks on here are playable decks, right? You can play those decks in Master Duel Ranked and do okay with them, right? None of those decks are completely garbage. Most of the decks that I think are like absolutely unplayable, I don't even include in those tier lists. Also, as always, if there's any decks that I've missed.
Wow. Okay, you're telling me Blackness are completely unplayable, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. Hey, I'm out, man. Man, why? Come on, what the